Hello everyone. Happy Sunday. I kind of wanted to come on here and just I guess have a conversation. Um I've been thinking a lot and I've been seeing a lot on social media and it kind of wanted me to have a conversation about just like authenticity and why it's hard sometimes to be your most authentic self and how even now our environment is showing why it's hard for us to do so. Um, and I say that just in light of even like the conversations that's happening with like Ariana Grande and people seeing like the notable kind of like issues that she's having with her weight and how a lot of people aren't leaving a lot of room for genuine care and empathy for whatever she's going through that may be causing us to see that physical manifestation of what she's struggling with. um I know that for myself. I didn't realize that I struggled with being authentic until really recently when I kind of had a situation with my own mom, right? And I went to her about kind of like my second thoughts that I had about a job interview that I recently had. And I went to her because I just needed somebody to pour into or to talk to. And it just felt like my genuine concern and my feelings kind of got met with like disbelief and almost trying to make it seem like the things that I had to worry about wasn't real or it was nothing to be a true concern about. It wasn't um it wasn't a time in a way that I guess I thought that I would be validated, and especially with all the things that I've poured into my mother about previous situations that I've had where I went into, a job, or, into a project where I thought things were going to be one way. And then as things come, I began to realize that essentially I was being taken advantage of and that it wasn't room for me to grow, but it was a place where my gifts were being exploited. And to be met with such kind of like almost judgment, it made me shut down. And it made me want to just go back to kind of like that hard exterior and like, you know what? I'm just not going to say anything because what the fuck is the point in saying anything if it's only going to be met with someone not taking my feelings seriously or that my tears are not even going to be taken like with concern or care. And that was something that I experienced my entire life. Having to perform my happiness, having to pretend that things were okay, and also having to suck up other people's shortcomings that I had to suffer the consequences for. But yet, my concerns, um, were never prioritized, or people never what felt like they needed to feel any type of remorse. Um, and I feel like religion played a huge part in that. It played a huge part in the idea of having to perform being happy, having to perform that everything was okay for other people's comfortability. And when you do come into the space where you're making people uncomfortable, they deflect and use religion. They reflect and use, some type of like respectability politics, or they just want to be able to police because they know that whatever truth you carry can also expose how the status quo is not only fucking you up, but can also be fucking other people up too. Um Authenticity comes at a risk. It comes at a risk of having to expose everything that is just not pretty. It's not pretty. It's not. Um, like every day, I, always tell myself, and then even like in therapy sessions, that I feel like Christianity basically destroyed my damn family. I hated the fact that my parents decided to start their own church. I never wanted to be a devout Christian like that. The only thing I really enjoyed about Christianity was gospel music. I will be completely honest. I love gospel music, but do I love the church? Oh, I don't. I don't. I think the church stunts people's growth. Um, Emotionally, mentally, socially. It didn't help that my parents acted like Jehovah's Witnesses, even though we wasn't when it came to interacting with our family. But unfortunately, I also had family members that dealt with very heavy addictions. So I can understand why, there was like a limit there. But even the ones that did it, my parents wanted to make their religious family their family, and we completely forgot about the blood that we had. And it really wasn't until I started working hoodoo and working into the African religious spaces that I started to see the change in how my own family interacts with our family here. So that's why I'll never have any regrets for doing what I did, for leaving Christianity, because despite all the years that we spent over there, we've never seen the gains that we've had. Now that we've done the ancestral veneration, or set, I have. But I did. I feel like it took away my parents. I feel like it kind of drowned out possibilities of things that they could have done for their own career, things that they could have done with their own passions, because somehow, some way, they've had to follow this calling of a church. um which I don't even think that that's what should have, I don't know, but to me personally, I feel like my father should have stayed on radio. My father had his own FM gospel radio station, means radio show. He was the only one, and he gave it up to pastor. To this day I don't understand why he did that. I mean, but we got to be real. We got to be truthful. And if he finds this video one day, Daddy, I want you to get that show back. I don't know how it's going to do it, but we got, cause no, cause that's where your ministry was. Your ministry was in music. That's where it was. Um, and even for my mom, like I feel like my mom will probably be so happy with herself if she went and got some type of fucking degree instead of vicariously living through me and thinking about the shoulda, coulda, wouldas that she could have did in my life. Cause last time I checked, I was the one that was living my life, not you. I feel that way about her too, and I say this with so much love. She should have went and got her bachelor's. We should have went and did something instead of sitting behind my daddy and his ego. Cause what was he gonna go? He wasn't gonna leave. Let me tell you something. My daddy would have done everything but fucking leave. Okay, my daddy's smart, but he smart. And my mom was the type to dumb herself. Clearly was the type to dumb herself down for a nigga. I love you, mom. And it's crazy because my parents are married. They're married, so I'm kind of going in on them right now. But fuck it, I kind of need to go in on them right now. I kind of do. No, I do. That's what it is. We going in on my family right now. Okay, it did. They probably did. Okay, they probably, like for when it came to me and my brothers, we did low key in some ways had to raise ourselves, and especially emotionally because their emotions were poured into the church. Okay, the things that we had to do, extracurricular activities, okay, that was outside of what the family plan was. The family plan was that we were supposed to be some fake ass a shared family, wine family, whatever the fuck was. I was supposed to be toting around the Bible every day, wanting to wake up in prayer, go to sleep in prayer, all that sweet. I was 13. I wanted to be around my friends. I wanted to do what regular teenagers did. I didn't want to be accountable for whatever role a pastor's daughter was supposed to be. What are you talking about? I didn't even ask. You told me. You did. I did not agree to this. And low key, we can talk about how that shit shows up in African religious spaces too. But I know a lot of people ain't gonna be ready for that conversation. But guess what? You're gonna be ready today. Okay. Um. And I did not want that. I wanted to be regular kid. I wanted to experience sleepovers. I wanted to experience going to those different escape parties. I wanted to experience like, the little teen clubs. I wanted to experience what it was meant to be a regular teenager. I did not want my matriculation into like adulthood or being an adolescent being surrounded by broken adults. Because that's what I experienced in my teenage years around broken ass individuals. Like what I had to, when my parents left perfecting church, and they started their own church, which that came with their own with its own crazy shit. And so, and I would say, as much as I love you, Bishop Winans, you low key deserve a fuck you for how you treated my motherfucking father. And it's crazy after all these years that man still loved you, but you deserve to get punched in your face. And I say that with all that love too. I'll hug you after though. But yeah, you low key deserve your ass whooped, and there's a crowd of other people that deserve to get their ass whooped. Cause like you'll be surprised how many people will kiss ass, lie, deceive, all this crazy bullshit, all because they want to be able to find a spot. And crazy enough is that the things that I went through, trying to navigate through these different spaces, through hoodoo, Ifa, and Haitian voodoo, I wholeheartedly understood what my father was going through. And I wholeheartedly understood why his heart was so broken in the way that he did. Because some of these religious motherfuckers are some of the most fucked up, self centered, arrogant, individualistic, like, tone deaf, like, classes, elitists, like people that you will meet, okay? And I swear for God, they will try to cover it with the blood of Jesus. I've seen it. I've seen people plot and play. And I've seen people try to like, create like these like weird like gossip like little just mean girl, mean men type of groups. You want to corner people. You like people who like purposely will try to get first ladies removed from the church. And that's not a lot. And we don't talk about that enough too. How some of these Christian women, these Christian mothers will plot against first ladies because for whatever reason you think you're going to be a better one. Okay, it's some real Cersei Lannisters, bitch. It's some real Cersei Lannisters and they don't come across like what's her name? Olenna Terrell. We ain't talking about them. We talking about some Cerseis. They a little worse. Like think about a Terrell but on the bad end, like wild. Okay, I'm sorry, I've been doing like a rewatch of Game of Thrones. But yeah, like I witnessed that. Which further, like pushes the notion that I wish my parents never went that route. Like my father's glory wasn't that music. It wasn't trying to meet like a standard that he thought that he needed to meet. And I hurt him. And in turn, it hurt us. It spilled into our home because those people were being brought into our home. And in the midst of that, not one time was I ever asked if I was okay. However, I was definitely brought in when I did not meet a standard. The things that I loved were weaponized against me because that was their way of punishing me for not doing what they want to do. They wanted me to lead praise and worship in the church. I wasn't interested in leading praise and worship in the church. At first I was, and then on top of that I had stage fright. So, which they were not like, didn't give a fuck about. Then I felt more comfortable singing with my friends. And whenever I would do things I didn't like, they didn't take away the TV, they didn't take away other privileges and take away, they would threaten that they would take me out of this class. Those are the type of parents I dealt with. And then let's not even talk about the fat phobia. My feelings didn't matter that much because I was fat. Any heartbreak that I had, it was because I had to suck it up because I was fat. And that was because of my mother. I was indoctrinated to believe that nobody would really care about my feelings because I was fat. Well, Marisha, if you don't get, well, just know you gotta lose 50 pounds if you want a nigga to give a fuck. If you want me to care about you getting new clothes, you gotta lose weight. Well, thank God you soft on the eyes, cause my weight gonna be a problem. So, like, even as an individual, as somebody that's not even famous, I know what it's like to be raised up and to be indoctrinated in a space where your authentic feelings have no value, have absolutely no value. And it's sad because I witnessed the same with my brothers. My brother Ian, his emotions had no value. I feel like maybe sometimes Matthew, but even then, maybe that's probably why we barely saw him at home. Until he had to be. You know what I'm saying? He didn't feel like paying rent, and so he was on the couch. And it carried itself. It carried itself. From adulthood into college, um, into feeling like, I had to fit myself into the most prestigious spaces, even though those spaces were never truly accepting of me. Pledging my sorority. I was a Zeta. Oh, well, not was, I still am. I am active, I'm financial. But I pledged, and that was not a good experience. Went in already finding out that there were people who did not want me to be their number because I was fat, even though it was mostly fat people, but apparently there was something with being a four, and they wanted the four to keep an aesthetic. And I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, I thought I was, you would think that this aesthetic would be a bad bitches, but I was a little confused. I guess it was just the weight. They just wanted it slender, I guess. I don't know. I just, it's, no shade and this is much love. But y'all had a way of pumping up some shit that I just really didn't understand. But I guess. So that was very interesting experience. And especially when you're dealing with women who um thought that, being performative was also a way to go. Especially when you're around people who were thought about being performative, but was also actively doing the very same thing that they were judging you against, which is again, is fat phobia. Like everybody was, if you want to claim a whole phase, yeah, I had somewhat of a whole phase. Sure. But apparently it was wrong for Marisha to have a whole phase. Like, fat bitches don't have hoe faces. It's only skinny bitches that's supposed to have hoe faces. So everybody else can be a hoe, but no, you can't. It was an issue with finding out that the men that y'all was fucking on was somehow interested in fucking me too. And so my feelings didn't matter. And then the men didn't help that situation because they were too weak ass minded to claim a bitch. So again, I was reminded by multiple people that my value, and especially because of how I looked and how did not matter. So then what ended up happening? Marisha had to choosing to continue to form, or Marisha left. And so that's why the relationship I have with my line sisters, well, today is dead. But it started. That's where the fuck it started, was us having to perform for each other. And I decided that I don't want to continue to perform this bullshit with people that I barely get along with. Shit was trash. Shit was trash. Having to sit up here and perform for niggas. Let me tell you something. Um, I had been a virgin for like 21 years. I had tried my best to hold on to that shit. But like I was never too big on like, okay, I gotta wait till marriage until that. But I really did want to wait till I like thought that I was giving it to somebody that liked me, you know? I didn't want to have it in a space where I had sex with somebody and then find out that they didn't give a fuck about me and we fighting all this and this. Like that was one thing I just didn't want to have in my story. And unfortunately that ended up being my story, and even worse, like the motherfucker disappeared. I knew this man named D'Angelo, what's his name? Perrier. He was a University of Maryland College Park student. I remember that. He was studying international business. Um, and I think like he said like his parents were Jamaican and all this stuff. And I had known for about a month. And I don't know. I guess I was just excited because I finally met a dude that like I guess kind of met the profile that of like who I really wanted to date and whatever. And he started coming over my house. We was hanging out, this, and one thing led to another. We ended up having sex. And at first, I was shocked because I was like, damn, did I really just have sex with this nigga? But I did. And, he talked me into, down, and, he ended up coming over again. And like we had conversation for him. And I just basically was like, I think I am like picking up some feelings. I am like picking up feelings for you. Like I think I like you. And it could be because I at that point I was open. I mean, he took my virginity. So shit, my old naive ass. And I remember we had sex like twice. And I remember the last time I saw him, I walked him to the door and he told me he was leaving. He had to go home because he was packing for a camping trip with him and his friends. And he kissed me on the forehead, and that was the last time I saw that man. Last time I saw him, last time I heard his voice, got a text message, everything. He fucking dipped. I'm starting to think that maybe he was probably in a relationship, and that's when I went through a long road of realizing that a lot of men that call themselves talking to me were in relationships. So I was always the savage or the silent third party. And what I mean by silent third party, I'm talking to a man that I have no idea has put me into a triangle. And so now I'm looked at as like, oh, I'm the girl that's trying to fuck up everybody's shit. No, no. I had no idea you were around, honey. I had no idea. I thought he liked me. I thought he was talking to me because he liked me, not because he was getting tired of you and he needed to use me as an escape. But now it makes sense as to why he was always dodging and deflecting as to why I wasn't seeing him enough. Or why is that? Now it all makes sense. And so, another value. I had to eat that shit up. Who can I tell? I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. And there's even a situation happened before then. I'm talking to somebody. We've been on the phone like 3, 4 months, talking like all night. This. Find out you meet my line sister. You like the way her ass shake. Cut off. Had to eat it up. I express my feelings how? What am I going to say? What is that going to give me? I'm not going to. What am I going to do? People find out I was having sex. I'm getting interventions, bitch. I'm not saying like, how do you feel? Are you okay? Like, I know like with losing your virginity. No, I get interventions. Niggas sitting in a circle talking about my fucking body and my body count. What care? What support? And he's supposed to be my sisters. I got a couple in a situation where a bitch almost got gang raped. And the only thing them hoes got to care about was the fact that I could have possibly fucked somebody that they fucked on first. Care for what? What are you talking about? What authenticity? What truth do y'all want? Nobody wants to hear truth, especially if that means calling out their own shit. So people eat. People eat their emotions. They suppress every fucking thing. They suppress things. That's why I understand Megan. That's understand why she might not, or like, always talk about what the fuck going on in her space. Because what the fuck is the point? People call her, it's like people literally try to say that she uses sympathy for promo. And then you want me to talk and tell my truth? Tell my truth for what? I'm wrong when I don't say nothing, and I'm wrong when I do. I dealt with a man that actively abused me. And for a long time, I was on some bullshit of, well, if he don't hit you, it's not abuse. Knowing goddamn well, like my whole like brain activity was fucking like chemical shit. Was, bro, the mental, the emotional, the isolation, the manipulation, the triangulation. And the fact that even people, the idea of knowing that I had to put up with abuse, and even from other people that was supposed to be in my circle, all because nobody really agreed with the fact that I deserved to be with an attractive man. So the attractive nigga that y'all don't think I'm supposed to be with abusing me, and then y'all abusing me all because you don't think, like, come on, bruh. What the fuck was I gonna say? What could I say to these hoes? What, like, authentic for what? And that's all it is. And then on top of that, if you find, it's like, bro, I was naive as fuck, bro. I was dying. And that's why I was like, I gotta be self aware. And knowing that my ass, I was not smart. I was very naive. I was very naive. And that was because I was scared. I was scared of isolation. I was scared of being alone. And even when I knew to move away from these situations, I found myself back in other situations because I did not learn how to spot when I was around predators and people who just didn't simply give a fuck. And so it turned me into the same thing. Somebody who was performing, who wasn't telling the truth, who was like trying to act like things was okay just so that they could be able to fit into a space and not feel alone. Because truth will make you lonely. Truth will make you very lonely. And so through years, then that's what led me to bad relationship after to like terrible friendships, more interventions, more of that because I'm emotionally suppressing myself and how I feel about that and thinking that maybe one day somebody can see that I'm suffering. But then I had to learn the lesson, and I didn't learn this until recently, that nobody was gonna come to validate Marisha. Marisha had to create her own space to validate. That's why I created this channel. I had to create my own space to validate. Um, And that's what honestly led me to start practicing African spirituality. That's why I started reading tarot cards. I didn't start practicing just because I was looking for a place to go. I was somebody that was actively practicing Christianity, but I had like this real crazy interest in divination and uh celebrity gossip and all that stuff. That's because the blogs be getting on my nerves. I was like, bro, this ain't it for me. And so when I started practicing and I started learning how you can use divination to kind of help you with healing and learning about things that you can work on so that it can get you into that the next level to unlock the things that you are supposed to experience and have in this life. And then that's what I started doing, right? And usually when you do that and you really start healing, you're kind of forced to keep it real with yourself. You're kind of forced into that authentic space. But what happens is that you're now kind of pushed, like every level comes with a certain, lessons, but and also unlock certain level of demons. And throughout my time in this space, or like in the African traditional spaces, I had to come face to face with a lot of that shit. All the way even to the point where I was actively in a spiritual war with a house, with a whole entire spiritual house. And one of the biggest lessons I had to learn from that situation is that religion is a lot more transactional than what we want to accept it as. Meaning, like, the whole idea, I think, for anybody that wants to be able to practice, or wants to really look at spirituality or sees it as a anchor for them, they have to be able to view the end goal. Like, why are you over here in the first place? Just doing it because your mama or your grandma, it will never be enough. Because honestly, that's what will get you caught up in the bullshit. You got to know why you're over here. Part of the reason why I was over here was because I was told through divination that I needed healing in order for me to obtain certain things that I deserve to have. That means, and that included, me getting married and also me having children. Because in multiple readings, it had came out that like currently, like, I will have issues finding a husband. I'll have issues finding a partner. I may have issues being able to conceive a child. And so getting initiated and getting these certain ceremonies will help usher in that these blockages that are currently here are keeping me from having that. Not saying that there was never one reading I received that I did not deserve it. But because of my life path, there has been things done to purposely keep me from getting there. And this is why you do it. Um, and I didn't realize that going through this process of how true that will really be, that there will be people, even those that are initiated priests in these religions, will actively try to stop you because a lot of them are driven by ego. They are not driven by spirit. Some of these people weren't even required to crown. Some of these people were never required to become a Babalawo or Ianifa. It was a choice. Some of them weren't even like, it was like they can't, if they don't want to, it's cool. I've actively watched somebody like was like third person watching the conversation happen, reading, where they're actively getting jealous of somebody who was told by a high priest in E5 that it was required that they become a priest. They were required because I guess they thought that that same thing was coming out to them. Baby, why would you ever want to be required to do anything? First of all, I don't want to require to be giving up $20,000, $30,000 to anybody, requiring me to fly to another goddamn continent and I gotta stay, and you telling me I may have to stay for up to 7 years and do this so I can fully learn the religion. Why would you even want to require for that? But because so many people come into these spaces seeking a fucking title because they couldn't get that shit out there. That's what you deal with in these spaces. You deal with that shit in the Abrahamic religions, you damn sure gonna deal with that space shit over here. You got people that want folks to put respect on the name of a 8-year-old priest that can't do shit but beat a drum. They can't lead nobody. They can't heal nobody. Can't barely pray for nobody. They can't counsel nobody. Can't do that. You gave that to their child because you got a discount price and you want it for bragging rights. But this is how you present to the world that this is something that's supposed to be respected. Y'all scamming people through ceremonies. And then on top of that, finding out that there's people within the community who knows who's doing the scamming, but you quiet because you want to claim you don't want to start no shit, but you okay with allowing the people who's getting scammed by them to come to you and having to pay the same, if more, to fix the shit. All of it is a fucked up system. And I had to witness this shit firsthand. Be told directly to my face that I was dealing with somebody that was fucking me over, that was throwing at me. And then when I went back to that person for help, they shut their door on me. That's why you'll never find me in motherfucking Atlanta again. Never. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. I don't care who you put down there. I don't know. I ain't fucking with nobody that's mixing Isheshe with Lukumi. If you an Isheshe priest and you call yourself Ianifa and you doing Ileke ceremonies, you are out of order. I don't care who you are. If you are not in a Mano de Orula ceremony, getting your hair pulled, you shouldn't be getting, there's no way you should have found out who your Orisha was. Because you only do that when you're on the mat. When a Rumila is down. That's the only time. And you are presented in a room. If that's not happening, there is no way you should be finding out somebody's Orisha. But that's the shit that they're doing down in Atlanta. And it's out of order. Period. But you can't say that shit. You can't say that because then you hurting somebody's feelings. Somebody think that you stepping on their toes. But see, that's what happens when you use religion as a way to become a capitalist. Everybody's spirit is telling them to raise their prices for real. Come on now. And that's what's fucking happening. And it's crazy because these people claim they doing spiritual work. They claim they working. But the moment that you come to them with some fucking witchcraft, they run off scared. They run off scared. When it's time for that real, the most a lot of these people know how to do is dance, sing, and do spiritual baths, and that's it. That's it. They don't know how to really help motherfuckers. And the people that do know how to help people, the people that do know how to work that, they're not the ones with the platform. They're not even trying to have the platform. And then 9 times out of 10, they'll probably get vilified for it too. So it's like, do y'all really want authenticity? Or do you want people to perform for you? Last time I kept it authentic, I had to ruin my reputation and do it. When I was getting triangulated by my so-called spiritual mentors, And the motherfuckers thought that they could sit up here and game some little call off my motherfucking name. Speaking down on me in spaces where I can't defend myself. Thinking that a bitch isn't as powerful as I claim to be, because I am. I don't claim to be better than no bitch, but I do claim to be that bitch. Motherfuckers thought they were the only ones that could read. Motherfuckers thought they were the only ones with Palo spirits. It's been confirmed multiple times. So why are you like? I don't give a fuck about your Siete Rayos coming down at a goddamn misa. It's my Siete Rayos that's telling you to shut the fuck up. What is that gonna do for me? You can't threaten me when I already know your tea. You can't threaten me when I already know that you can't throw cards. You can't threaten me when you know that you can't barely make a bath. You can't threaten me when you know that you can barely make an offering. You can't threaten me like that. And your partner can barely help you either. Same thing. Don't let being a fat black queer woman get you caught the fuck up. Don't let that be something that you're threatened by. Especially if I don't give you a reason to threaten me, to be threatened of. But I can. And that's be me being the most authentic that I can be. That's the most authentic. This religion has tried me. These religions have tried me. So I've been targeted for more than a year, all because I wouldn't initiate into Haitian voodoo under the house that was exploiting me. And when it's highlighted in your own readings, in your own divination, your own spirits, and shit, my spirits came, your own spirit said that bitch was fucking me over. And so instead of you taking heed of that shit, you decided to go hurt, and then you mad at me because I left? Who got so? That's why, look, don't go to Black Spectrum Network. I mean that right now. Fuck them. Child, I don't even care no more. It is what it is. Like, please don't. That make that make sense. Like, okay, make that make sense. And that's the shit that I had to deal with these motherfucking fools. Fools. But I gonna keep on. You know I'm gonna do it. If it gets blocked, nah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. And that even goes for Iani Five, what's it, Ironke, and Funtade. They even go for your little trifling ass. Cause you should have definitely told me the truth about what the fuck went down between you and Black Legend Network before you thought that you was cool to take up grandchildren, godchildren. You could have been told me the truth. And especially if you knew that by hiding that shit from me, I would have known that them motherfuckers was attacking me because I was with you. And that's another thing. A lot of these motherfucking priests will out here will use their godchildren as shields. You'll be shocked that when you leave a house, that's when your life turns around. You'll learn that too. You'll learn that as well. I learned that the hard way. I learned that the hard way. Oh bastard! Like, you know what? No, hold on. I gotta take another pause. And but the crazy thing is, every bit of this shit, you look like it. Low key feel like it drove me into like a little bit of like a religious psychosis because I feel like every time I went to somebody, they all led me to going deeper and deeper into this shit. You know, like I got a fucking bovidai in my goddamn house learning about fucking Misas and Apollo spirits and working them and all these other things. And I'm like, bitch, I need to get my pot fixed. Like, I just learned that y'all just told me that my shit fucked up. I'm getting everything done but my pot fixed. And then when I got down there to get my pot fixed at the Mano Deo Rula ceremony, these motherfuckers told me everything, but I was a child of God. And I mean, in a way, they was telling me I was a child of God, but then at the same time, they basically was telling me my life was fucked up. My life was a tragedy, and if it wasn't already a tragedy, then it will be. I'm like, what the hell? Who starts off a reading like that? This is my destiny, bitch. Apparently, I was like too fat. Like this nigga called me fat. And like, I mean, damn, I know I'm fat, but like, bitch, what? Like, why is this? What is going on here? Like, why am I being targeted in my own reading? Then I'm being told all about all this witchcraft being thrown at me. Honey, that was the worst. Okay. I think I probably only listened to that thing again like once in full, and I just couldn't go back because I said, ain't no fucking way. I feel sad every time I listen to my Mama Dear Rula reading because I was just like, okay, so you told me I was marked for death. I had all these people throwing witchcraft at me, roots, no relationship that I had in the past was worth saving. I mean, it was just like, what can I say? And then what made it worse is that after I left that, it was almost as if I had to act like none of that shit was told to me. No counseling, no, let's just debrief and tell me about how you feel. It was just, okay, well, we'll move on. You know, according to a lot of those people, if I don't give a fuck about your feelings. According to them, Orisha don't give a fuck. But really, it's this them that don't care. They don't care because they don't know how to deal with trauma. These aren't trauma informed people. These aren't folks who know what it means to counsel people through the bad times. They don't know what it means to provide people with anything else but a reading and a spiritual bath and maybe a bone, possibly a sacrifice, but that's about it. The work is left to you. And I do pray that if I am supposed to have a spiritual house, like if this is what I'm meant to be, that I am able to provide my godchildren with a safe space of validation and accountability, with love, support, and the push. Like, I want there to be a definite end to any type of hand holding because my job isn't here to hold your hand, but it's to make sure that you are the best damn priest that you are meant to be under my watch. And that you are loved in a way that a godmother is supposed to love their godchild. That you're not just here to validate me, but I'm also here to validate you. That's why your spirits would have brought you to me in the first fucking place. And it's unfortunate that so many people fail that assignment because they look at having godchildren as some type of egotistical score on their end instead of knowing that no, these are souls that you are accountable for. These ancestors put them here because they believe that I can get them to the next level. How dare I pervert that? And unfortunately, there's a lot of perversion. But it's a journey to become authentic. It's a lot of shit that I could talk about, but I'm gonna try to keep this video short. But I'll definitely come back and talk about some more things, especially when it comes to just like my relationships and things with friends. Um, because like, sometimes the best way to like really open yourself and be expressive is to talk about things that you never thought that you would have the wherewithal to even say out of your mouth and put it public. Um, but yeah, like my journey has made me very sad and scared. Um, and I've had to go and find the confidence in being able to come out of that. Um, and I'm working on it. But I'll be lying if I say that this experience over here ain't made me fucking scarred. It scarred me probably for life. No shade. Um, Wounds do heal, but that doesn't mean that the mark is gone. The mark is a reminder. Um, and that's probably what the tattoos represent low key. Is signifying the mark. So yeah, I kind of feel myself going down. So yeah, I'm gonna come back and talk some more. I'm gonna figure out how to title this, but yeah, let's do some story times. I think that's probably what needs to kind of pump out and sprinkle in some celebrity readings because I kind of want to read into some stuff for real, for real. Let's make it fun. Let's make it fun. Let's bring fun back to tarot again and spiritual conversations, right? Because we're missing a lot of that now. But yeah. So like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you watched. Hopefully, maybe it brought up something that you went through too that, reminds you about how hard it is to be authentic and real with people. But I'll catch y'all later. Cool. Peace.